Okay, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So we'll continue with the revision for the December 2024 mock. And this is our last question, and that is question 25. So I'll read the question. Janairi Limited is a company established in year 2023 to manufacture plastic products. Before commencing its operations on 1st May 2023, the company incurred a total of shillings 8,760,000 in construction of factory building, which included a godown or at a cost of 320,000, and the date of first use was 1st July 2023. Then we have a showroom, which was 240,000. Date of use was 1st September 2023. Then we have administration offices, 680,000. And the date of first use is 1st October 2023. So additional information, number one, the following assets were constructed or purchased and utilized with effect from 1st July 2023. So we have water pump, we have labor quarters, we have processing machinery, we have tractor, we have scanners, we have 2 saloon cars, we have mobile forklift, we have computers, we have power transformer, we have office cabinets, we have boilers, we have bridge in bracket. The bridge was connecting the factory to the main road. The number 2, the following costs were incurred by the company on 1st September 2023. So we have a sinking a ball at 720,000, construction of a parking bay at 630,000. Number 3, one of the computers traded in on 10th November 2023 for a new one costing shillings 60,000. The trade-in value was shillings 40,000 and the balance was settled in cash. Number 4, the company constructed a sports pavilion and additional staff quarters during the year at the cost of shillings 890,000 and shillings 1.2 million respectively. These structures were utilized from 1st October 2023. Required investment allowances due to Janairi Limited for the year ended 31st December 2023. Yeah, so this is a question on investment allowance. So this was a question of taxation. So straight away, we'll go to the question. So we'll start with what we call the investment deduction, also known as the ID. So we'll have the ID. Yeah, so here you'll be able to classify. You are supposed to be in a position to classify items under ID, IBD, which is the industrial building deductions, and the wear and tear allowance items. So once you know that, then you are good to go. You are good to go. So you can tackle the question without much problem. Without much problem. Okay, so we continue with the question. So as I said, we'll start with the investment deduction ID. So under ID, we always have the nature of the asset. The nature of the asset. Yeah, which asset are you dealing with? Then we have the qualifying cost. What will qualify? The qualifying cost. The idea I say stands for investment deduction. Then after the qualifying cost, we'll have the balance. Yeah, if there was any balance brought down. If there was any balance brought down. Yeah, so that this information will check whether there was balance brought down. Then we'll have the ID itself. Then we have balance carried down. Balance carried down. So it will say carried down CD. Yeah, so that's the nature. That's the format. So I'll bold this. And once you bold that, so I'll look at the items. So I'll start with addition of the information, the first information provided. We're told that Mjaneri Limited is a company established in year 2023 to manufacture plastic products before commencing its operation on 1st May 2023. The company incurred a total of 8,760,000 in construction of factory building, which included go down, showroom, and administration offices. So factory building qualifies for investment deduction, qualifies for ID. But now here we are told that this factory building comprises of go down, showroom, and administration offices. When you recall, when I was teaching you, you recall that I told you that whenever the factory building includes other items of IBD, like in this case, we have go down, showroom, and administration offices, then we'll carry out what we call a 10% test. So if it exceed, if those items exceed 10%, then they won't qualify for ID. But if they're below, then we'll classify them as IBD separately. But if the two items, so the items which I said go down is separate. So go down automatically will go to IBD. But now showroom, administration offices, or if we had staff quarters here or caretaker residence here, then we'll carry out a test when they're part and parcel of the factory building. So allow me to carry out a 10% test here first. So you'll carry out 10% test. And what is this 10%? What we are going to do, we are going to sum the value of showroom and administration offices because they were part of the factory building. So just say equals to bracket. So I'll add this plus this. Yeah, you don't include go down because go down, you don't do a 10% on go down. Yeah, when it's part of factory building because go down automatically goes to IBD. The only items that we said under your notes, when you look at your notes, are the showroom, administration offices, shops, or the caretaker dwelling place. Yeah. So if those items are part of the factory building, then you carry out a 10% test. So if they are below 10%, then we will take those items as part of the factory building. But if they're above, then we don't include them anywhere for investment allowance. So let us see what will happen here. So I'll add those two, then I'll divide by the total cost of the factory, which was 8760. So it will be 8,760,000. Yeah, let me just say yes. Yes. Yeah, so you can see the percentage 0.10. So if you change that into percentage, let us see. I already I can see it's above 10%. Yeah. Yeah, so it's 10.5%. So it's more than 10%. So it means that showroom and administration offices will not qualify for IBD, and they will also not form part of the factory building. So here, when you come now here, the first item here will be factory building. And what will be the qualifying cost? So the qualifying cost of the factory building will be the original cost of the factory building was, let me say, equals to 8,760,000. Then I'll subtract 240. I'll subtract also 680. And I'll also subtract the go down, which is not supposed to be part of the factory building, so that I remain with the qualifying cost, the original qualifying cost. Yeah, so my qualifying cost will be 7520 under factory building. Yeah, the reason being the showroom and administration offices were above 10%. So you can ask yourself, what if it was 9%, these two? Then if they're 9%, then we don't subtract them from the factory building. So we'll only eliminate the go down, which will go to IBD. So we'll take them as part of the factory building. So factory building will have that qualifying cost. So there was no balance brought down. So ID, we always say that the ID is always for the first year, it's 50%. Then for non-reducing balance, it's 25%. But because we are dealing with the year 2023, and I told you here, when it comes to ID, you don't factor in the dates of operation or the dates of first use. Yeah, so you just say equals to, let me leave that. Let me just do with the qualifying cost. So let me list the items, the assets first, which qualifies for ID. So I'm done now with the factory building. So I'll go to go down. No, go down will qualify for ID. Showroom and administration offices will now qualify for any investment allowance because they exceed the 10% test. So we don't include them anywhere. So I go to additional information. So additional information number 1, the following assets were constructed or purchased and utilized with effect from 1st July 2023. So the first one, we have water pump. So water pump qualifies for investment deduction because this water pump is used in manufacturing. Yeah, this is a manufacturing company. So anything, the water pump will qualify. So the amount of water pump that qualify is 540. Then labor quarters, no, labor quarters will qualifies for ID. The IBD, sorry. Then processing machinery, yeah, processing machinery qualifies automatically for ID. So we'll place it there. The amount, the qualifying cost will be amount, which is the 2.6. Tractor, no, tractor will qualifies for wear and tear allowance. Scanners qualifies for wear and tear allowance. 2 salon cars qualifies for wear and tear allowance. Mobile forklift, wear and tear allowance. Computers, wear and tear allowance. Power transformer will qualify for ID. Yeah, that's power transformer. That is used for processing. Yeah. So we'll take the all value. Office cabinet qualifies for wear and tear. Boilers are used in the factory. So the boilers automatically qualifies for ID. So we'll list that. Boilers at 960. So bridge will qualify for IBD, investment building deduction, because it was connected to the factory to the main road. It is not used directly in manufacturing when the operation of on the operation of the company. So it's just connecting the factory to the main road. So it will qualify for IBD. Yeah, so I'm done with that. So I go to additional information and check whether there's any item that qualifies for ID. Oh. Sorry, so we go to 2. Additional information number 2, the following costs were incurred by the company on 1st September 2023. Yeah, and I say that all items under ID, you don't factor in the date. You don't factor in the date. There's no factoring in the date factor. Yeah, so we had a bowl. So bowl is used for, so you can just copy sinking a bowl the way it is instead of typing to save on time. So that automatically qualifies for ID. Then construction of a parking bay. Parking bay also qualifies for IBD. ID. It qualifies for ID. Yeah, then love that 6:30. Then we continue. So number 3, one of the computers traded in on 10th November 2023 for a new one costing shillings 68,000. The trade-in value was shillings 40,000 and the balance was settled in cash. So that will qualify for wear and tear allowance. So we'll avoid it. We'll come to that. Number 4, the company constructed a sports pavilion and additional staff quarters during the year at a cost of shillings 890,000 and shillings 1.2 million respectively. These structures were utilized from 1st October 2023. So this does not qualify for ID. This qualifies for industrial building deduction, so IBD. Yeah, so I think those are the only items that will charge ID on the investment deduction on. Yeah, I think those are the only items that we charge the investment deduction on. So once you have listed the items correctly, so the next thing will be the next thing is now to come and calculate IBD. We didn't have the balance brought down from the previous year. Yeah, we were not given in this question. So if the balance was there was a balance, then we'll put it here. Then you calculate the ID now for this. Then you add the balance brought down plus ID to get the balance carried down. But in this case, there was only ID for this year. So this is what you do. So the ID, the rate is always 50%. Then on a reducing balance, it will be 25%. Reducing balance means if we calculate for this year, then we move to the next year, which is 2024, then now it will reduce to 25%. Yeah, but now for this year, because we are in 2023, we'll calculate it using 50%. So this is what you do. So I'll take 50%. And because it's constant all through, I'll lock it. Yeah, I told you that this paper is all about speed and accuracy. Yeah, you don't waste so much time. So you lock it completely, then you multiply by the value of the factory building. So once you multiply by that, just enter. So once you get that value, you just drag. These other values will appear automatically. Yeah, the 50% will just multiply these other values. So therefore, your total ID will be this. So just come here and say ID equals to, you will sum all this. Yeah, so you can sum, you go to then you go to auto sum, then you get the value. So the total will be 66,895,000. Yeah, so that's what the government will pay back to you as an investment allowance. So that we have ID. So the next thing, we'll go to IBD, which is the industrial building deduction. Yeah, so IBD. Yes, I'll bold that. Yeah, so IBD is what we call the IBD date. IBD date. Here, you have to consider the date factor. Yeah, among all the investment allowances, it's only IBD is when you compare the date factor. So we'll start with the nature of the building. So we'll have the nature of the building. Nature of the building. Then the next thing is always the qualifying cost. The format is the same. It doesn't change much. We have the qualifying cost. qualifying cost. Then we have the balance brought down if there was any from the previous year. Then we have the IBD. Then we have the balance carried down. Balance carried down. Okay, so I'll highlight that, then bold it. Okay, so we'll look at the item. So we'll start up there. So yeah, I said we had to go down. So go down automatically will qualify for IBD. So just say quotes, then you copy go down. Then what is the qualifying cost? The qualifying cost is the amount, the total amount, the cost for the go down. Then you go again to the next item that qualifies. We say that showroom and administration offices will not qualify because they were part of the factory building and they failed the 10% test. So we don't include them. If they were given separately away from the factory building, then they will form part of the IBD. Get that clear. They will form part of the IBD. Then now I'll go to additional information. So we have water pump already, that has been catered for. We have labor quarters. Yeah, labor quarters will qualify for IBD. And the amount is 920. Then we have processing machinery. No, that was ID. Tractor, that is wear and tear allowance item. Scanners, wear and tear allowance. Two saloon cars, wear and tear allowance. Mobile forklift, wear and tear. Computers, wear and tear. Power transformer ID. Office cabinet, wear and tear. What do we have again? Boilers, ID, bridge. Yeah, so bridge will qualify for IBD. Yeah, because this bridge was just connecting the factory from the main road outside. So that qualifies for IBD, not ID. Yeah, so don't confuse it with ID. Yeah, so that's the qualifying. That's the qualifying cost. Then I go to additional information number 2. The following costs were incurred by the company on 1st September. Sinking ball and construction parking bay already were taken by ID. So I'll go to number 3. One of the computers traded in. Computers is a wear and tear item, so it won't qualify. Number 4, the company constructed a sports pavilion and additional staff quarters. So those two qualifies automatically for IBD. So we'll have sports pavilion. Sports pavilion. It was how much? Sports pavilion was 890,000. Just write it 890,000. Then now we have staff quarters, the additional. So let me just say additional staff quarters. How much was 1.2 million? Yeah, so I said that it's only in IBD where you have to be keen with the date of use or date when they were acquired. Yeah, you have to factor that in. Yeah, so I think up to that, I've exhausted the IBD items. So balance brought down was 0, so I won't bother to put any item. So I go to IBD. So now how will I calculate IBD? So here I say that for IBD, you will factor the year or the period when the item was used before we close the year. Yeah, the period. So this is what I will do. So for go down, the qualifying cost was 320. And the rate for IBD is always how much? Is always 10%. So I'll multiply that by 10%. Then I'll multiply by the period that the go down existed before we close the year in December. So we'll go down, date of first use was 1st July. So from 1st July, you count up to December. Yeah, so July, August, September, October, November, December. So it existed for 6 months. So I'll multiply that by 6 over 12. Yeah, I say that you factor in the date of use when it comes to items under IBD. But for ID, you don't consider the date of use. So you enter and you'll get that value. Then labor quarters, the same. I'll take 920, which is the qualifying cost. I'll multiply by 10%, which is the rate for IBD. Then I'll multiply, I'll check when was the labor quarters in use. Yeah, so the labor quarters were also used in effect from 1st July 2023. So it was also 6 months out of 12. I'll enter that. And then we continue. The next item is the bridge. Yeah, bridge also fall under the 1st July. Yeah, so you just come here and say the IBD will be this. You multiply by 10%. Then you multiply by, you factor in the months, yeah? So it operated for 6 months before we close the year. So 6 over 12 for the bridge. So you'll get 60. Then sports pavilion, it was an additional information number 4. We were told that these structures were utilized from 1st October 2023. So 1st October, so it will be October, November, and December. So it means that they were used for 3 months. Yeah, both sports pavilion and additional staff quarters. So you just take 890, you multiply by 10%. Then you multiply by 3. It was for 3 months only out of the 12 months. Then you enter. Then we'll do the same to additional staff quarters. You take that times 10% times 3 over 12. Yeah. I say that for IBD, you factor in the date of acquisition or the date of use. So once we are done with that, we are done with IBD. So my total IBD will be here. So let's say IBD will be equals to, I'll sum all this, sorry, equal sign. So I just highlight that. Then I'll go to home, then I look for auto sum, then I'll sum that. So my IBD will be 174 to 50. So I'll bold it. Yeah, so the last one is the wear and tear, WTA. Wear and tear. So here we'll only have 2 classes, yeah, class 1 and class 2. So allow me to bold it first. Let me bold it. Wear and tear allowance. Yeah, so the wear and tear allowance, we'll have class 1 and class 2. So I can just put it here. So I'll say class 1. Sorry. Class 1, then class 2. Yeah, so allow me to highlight that also and bold so that you can see it clear. Then we always have the written down values. The written down values if they are provided in the question. But in this question, we didn't have the written down values. So I'll just put it as a format. Yeah, so this will be 0. And this also will be 0. Then we'll have additions. Yeah, additions. Additions occurs during the year. And the year is the year in focus, which is 2023. So we'll have additions. And I'll bold it. I'll bold that, then I'll create the bottom border that way. So I'll go to the information provided. So here, up here, there's no any item of wear and tear. So I'll start from the additional information number 1. So I'll look at water pump, no. I'll look for labor quarters, no. I'll look for processing machinery, no. Then tractor, yes. So I'll start with the tractor. Yeah, so tractor, I'll look at the class. Tractor falls under class 1. Yeah, so that value will go to class 1. And here also, you don't consider the date. You take the values the way they are. Okay. Yeah. So the next item after tractor will be the scanners. Scanners also fall under class 1. So I'll enter and I pick the value. And the next item is 2 saloon cars. So saloon cars also falls under class 1. Yeah, you have the notes. You have the notes. So these 2 saloon cars, we were told that the amount was 7 million. And we know that saloon cars, they're non-commercial items, and we restrict the value of 1 saloon car to 3 million. But you see here now, we have been given 2 at 7 million, meaning 1 goes for 3.5 million. So we are going to restrict the value at 3 million each. So 3 million times 2, with the value that we'll put here is 6 million instead of 7 million. Yeah, because we restrict the value of the non-commercial vehicles. So we have restricted to 6 million. Yeah. Then we have mobile forklift. Yeah, mobile forklift. That's the wear and tear item. Also fall under class 1. And we'll have the value the way it is. Then we have computers. We have computers. Computers was 250. Sorry. Computer also falls under class 1. Huh? Yeah. So it will go with 250. Then we have power transformer. No. Office cabinet. Yes, that's an item of wear and tear. So office cabinets, the amount is 180, but that's fall under class 2. Those are furniture and fittings, yeah? That's class 2. They're classified under class 2. So office cabinets will be under class 2. Then boilers, no. Bridge, no. Additional information number 2, we have exhausted. Number 3, we have one of the computers traded in on 10th November 2020 for a new one costing shillings 68,000. Yeah, so we have another computer. So I just say computer, which costed how much? It was traded in, but it was traded in at a cost of 68. So the new computer, which is in the first class, is 68,000. 68,000. Yeah, then we are told that there was the one was traded in and the trade-in value was shillings 40. So when you trade in something, yeah, then it's a disposal. It's a disposal. So it means that you dispose that item. You dispose that item. So we'll say disposal. Yeah, say disposals. Yeah, even if you trade in a car for a new one, yeah, the cost will be there, but they will deduct the value of the trade-in. Yeah, so it means that you have disposed it. It's like you have sold it, then the rest you pay in cash. Yeah, so disposal will be, there was a computer which was disposed. So computer which was disposed, and it was how much? It was disposed for 40,000. So it will be a negative. Yeah, and the computers are in class 1. That's why I've placed it there under class 1, and I've put it as negative 40. So yeah, so that's how you analyze these questions. That's how you analyze these questions. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, then we go to the other information. The company constructed. Yeah, this one already we exhausted under IBD. There's no any other item of wear and tear. So it ends there. So we'll now be able to calculate the qualifying cost. Yeah, so what is the total qualifying cost? So you just come here and say qualifying costs. So the qualifying costs will be, yeah, so I'll just highlight all this. Yeah, then I'll go to auto sum. Then you sum up there. It will give me that value. Then I'll just drag for class 2. I'll drag and it will give me that value, yeah, which is correct. So I'll highlight that qualifying cost. Then now I'll calculate my wear and tear allowance. So I'll say what is my WTA? My WTA. So you know that for class 1, it's always 25%. Class 2 is 10%. So say 25%. And here is 10%. Yeah, you have to know those rates. But in an examination paper, the rates will be given. Yeah, so you don't struggle much. Once you know the concept, the rates is not a worry to you because you'll be given the rates there on your paper. So wear and tear allowance here, I'll just take 25% and I'll multiply by the total qualifying cost. Then I'll do the same for this. Now I'll take 10% and I'll multiply by the total qualifying cost for class 2. I'll have those two values. Yeah, so once you have those two values there, so allow me also to bold this so that you can see it clearly. Therefore, what will be my total investment allowance? Yeah, so under wear and tear, so let me get the total wear and tear. Total wear and tear allowance. Where, let me just say WTA. Total WTA. So let's say bold. Total wear and tear will be equals to just this one, huh? Yeah, the one for class 1 plus class 2. And so that will be the total wear and tear allowance. So the now, therefore, what is the investment allowance? So the investment allowance due to Mjanairi Limited, investment allowance due to Mjanairi Limited will be the sum of ID, IBD, and wear and tear. So just come here, pick that value, you add to the value for IBD, then you add to the value. Yeah, so we continue. So I'll repeat. Yeah? So the investment allowance due will be, we'll have for the ID, it was 689, that value there, plus 174 to 50, which is the IBD. Then you add 2 the total, yeah, the 247 plus this one, which give us this value here. So we'll get 9560. Yeah, so that will be the total IBD. It will be the total IBD. So that will be our investment allowance due to January Limited. And that's how you're supposed to tackle that question. That's how you're supposed to tackle that question and get yourself full marks. Get yourself full marks. Yeah, so that's how you're supposed to get your 20 marks. Yeah, these are an area that they are likely to test. So if you are watching this video, please take a minute, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Let us grow to 1,000 subscribers, and also share the video so that your colleagues can be able to know that there's a channel by the name CPA Minde, which is training people on business data analytics. So thank you so much and have a blessed evening. Until next time.